Hey, this is Raul. Please act right. Today's video, a 33-year-old divorced woman who says that men and women have to prove themselves to each other. And Kevin Samuels thinks otherwise. Let's see how this goes.
With my past history, I was married at 21 and got divorced later after that. I feel like both men and women should prove themselves to each other.
Why?
Because, okay, in relationships, it's a give and take, right? You have to get to that point of getting to marriage. And with you, you're saying, okay, he has worked his way up. A lot of women.
Who has to get to that point?
Both.
No. That's where you're wrong. No.
Why do you feel that way?
I don't feel that way, I think.
And this is where most modern women make their biggest mistake when it comes down to relationships. She starts talking about how she feels. It's not about how you feel. It's about what's actual reality.
Wow. Okay, so he says this is where most women make the biggest mistake. It's talking about how they feel. When it's not about how you feel, it's about actual reality. So what I'm going to do today is we're going to talk about reality, okay? But first I want to dig into this think and feel type of thing. Specifically in this context right here, think and feel is colloquially the same. The only time I can see where they would say don't use feelings is in light of a fact. You give someone a fact statistically or just factually, period, and then they say, well, I just feel like, well, your feelings aren't really important to the facts, correct? But in this situation, she's only saying, how do you feel about it? How do you think about it? Which is colloquially the same, okay? They're synonymous in the way that she's using it. So to correct her is really just silly. There's no need to do that. So here's what I would say. Typically in a conversation, family, whenever you're talking to someone and you say something like, I just feel like, and they do this to you, and it's actually colloquially the same, I would see that person as trying to dominate the conversation, okay, by pulling leverage away from you, making you feel like you said something wrong already so they can correct you and establish that position of teaching you rather than you teaching them something. You understand? It's okay either way. We're going to dig into the points, but I just wanted to talk about that specific thing because they're going to do this to her a couple of times, okay, on this think and feel type of deal. But let's deal with the reality, okay? Let's deal with it. She says that in a relationship, there's give and take. That's true. She says that you have to work yourself up to the point of marriage. That's also true. So while she was saying that, she continued to say, Kevin Samuels, but your views are that men have already built themselves up. But then he interrupted her to say, who has to work themselves to the point of marriage? And she says, both. And that's when he goes, well, that's where you're wrong. But I believe she was going to say, Kevin Samuels, your views are that men have already built themselves up, so they have no need to prove themselves to women. That's what I believe she was going to say, but he interrupted. However, he doesn't like for people to interrupt him, okay? But that's neither here nor there. Let's deal with the point of it, okay? It is absolutely true that relationships are give and take. It is absolutely true that you have to work yourself up to a point of marriage. During the relationship, family, you guys are proving to each other that you're worthy of marriage. During the relationship is when you guys get to vet each other, to see your temperament, to see your character, see your endeavors, how hard you work towards those endeavors, how much you keep your word. All of these things are very important before laying your life down to be with one person. You understand? You're going to lay your life down to be with this person, have a child with them, which means they're with you for life. You definitely want to make sure that they're going to be capable of being a good father, a good husband, a good wife, a good mother, a good companion overall, because that's very important if you're going to spend your life with them, right? And them just having money, that cannot be enough. Like just because she has a womb and a vagina, like as far as to carry a baby, of course, and then a vagina for sex, of course. And just because she can physically move around and clean, does that mean she's adequate to be your wife? Because if she were, you wouldn't be asking for these other attributes, okay? Like her to be loyal, like her to submit, like her to support. So if he has other values like provisions, of course, but protection and proving his love, professing his love, okay? These are things that can lead to a long-term relationship in a marriage, proving yourself. If you're not willing to do that, man, you might not get the longevity out of your relationship or the happiness out of your relationship, nor the peace out of your relationship that you would want, okay? Because women actually do need you to profess your love, which means simply proving to her how you specifically feel about her. We make a lot of claims when it comes to our women. We tell them that we love them. We tell them we'll lay our life down. Most of the time, we don't get a chance to prove that part. You understand? We tell them we'll give them the world. We say that we'll be faithful. We say we're going to have their back. We say a lot of things, okay? But women often ask for you to show your love. And how do they do that? By demanding romance, acts of romance. Take me out, send me roses, buy me a gift, do something to make me feel special. Okay, this is why I call it the 3 P's: provisions, protection, and proof. If a man is not willing to prove to a woman how he feels about her, I'm afraid you won't have a long-lasting, peaceful relationship, because she'll continue to ask you to prove your love, and you're going to continue to call it nagging, because obviously you don't really value her needs. You understand? If you did, you would prove to her you love her. You're not losing anything. It's the woman that you're with. It's nothing wrong with rolling out the red carpet for your person. Giving your best to your person. There's nothing wrong with that. It's something wrong with doing it before you're in a relationship with them. A relationship where there's give and take. But if you're in a relationship and that woman is giving just like you're giving, you shouldn't have any resentments towards giving her your best, telling her she's beautiful, kissing her and being there for the kiss, kissing her passionately, just like she likes. You understand? There's nothing wrong with wanting these things from your partner, family. And if we keep telling a woman that she's crazy for wanting these things, men shouldn't have to prove themselves. That's going to create a very unbalanced relationship. You understand? But let me continue.
Okay.
Women control access to sex. We have to work our way up to sex with you. True or false?
True.
Right. You have to work your way up to marriage with us.
Right.
Well,
Wait. Women control access to sex, so men have to work their way up to having sex with them. True, generally speaking. Okay? So now he says that women have to work their way up to marriage with a man. Well, let's look at that closely, okay? When a woman is ready to have sex, does she ask the man to have sex with her and then he says yes or no? Or does she just make herself available for the sex? I think it's the latter. She makes herself available for the sex. She doesn't get down on one knee and ask him to have sex with her, right? She doesn't say, will you sleep with me now? No, she doesn't, right? She just makes herself available and he's a willing participant in this act, correct? Now, when it comes to marriage, a man proposes to a woman. He doesn't just say, I'm ready for marriage now. And she goes, great, and just y'all go get married. He gets down on his knees, he sets up some elaborate experience for her, and he proposes to her. Will you marry me? And then he professes his love. I love you, I want to be with you for the rest of my life. Sweetheart, will you marry me? Then it's up to her. The clock starts ticking. She can say yes or no, and that determines the marriage, correct or no? So both parties are working together for this thing we call marriage, correct? Just because a man, generally speaking, is trying to get to the woman for sex and she holds access to the womb, does not mean that men hold access wholeheartedly, 100% to marriage, because two parties have to agree on the sex and the marriage, correct? But when it comes to the marriage, you have to verbally agree to this. You make plans and you set it up. Both parties are proving to themselves that the other person's worthy, so to speak, or proving to each other that they are worthy, so to speak. So when the woman says yes or no, her yes or no is based on what? Him just making enough money? Because he could have asked her day one to marry him and she would have said, yeah, why even court her for that? Correct? Well, of course, he needed her to prove to him he was worthy, but that she was worthy, but he didn't have to prove anything to her. Wrong, family. She's going to take into account the type of man that he is before she says yes, and provisions ain't gonna cut it for the whole thing. It ain't enough just to have money. How do you treat her? Are you a man of your word? Do you profess, provide, and protect? Okay? Do you show her that you have good father attributes, good husband attributes? All these types of things, family. Are you compatible with her? Can she see herself submitting to you in the life and the endeavors and the plan that you have? All of these things are important, or at least should be important to a woman whenever she's saying yes or no, I will marry you. You understand? Let's continue.
no, it's not right, because you just said it's 50. We both have to work. So if that's the case, you in your sex scenario, you'd have to work yourself up to sex with us, and you're ready to have sex almost immediately.
So,
Well, it wasn't her sex scenario. It was his sex scenario. She never mentioned it. He brought up sex, okay? Just to be clear.
do you feel like women don't have to prove
How old are you?
I am 33.
I like to talk in terms of think instead of feel.
Okay.
Okay, so your question again is what?
My question is, why do you not feel like men, why do you not think that men should?
Do you see the frustration on his face whenever she said, feel again? Again, it's colloquially the same word. He knows what she means, so you don't have to do that, man. And in a relationship, if that's how you treat your woman, she will begin to feel fear. You looking at her like, what, you about to do something? Like, it's crazy, family. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. We're already way stronger than women. And so if we can't have a conversation with her while being gentle, letting her speak her piece so we can understand her more, instead of controlling the conversation, like, you can't say this. And when she says it, you look at her real sternly like, you need to switch up what you just said or it's going to be a problem. Like, I definitely couldn't see myself having a conversation with a woman who's treating me like that, because I'm going to want to be able to say what I got to say so I can get my points across. And I don't need you to tell me how to talk. Do you understand? But why do we feel like we can do that? Is it because somewhere deep inside of us we feel like we own them? Is it somewhere deep inside of us there's a little bit of misogyny? Don't get me wrong, women are very misandric in nature now too. They look down on men, treat men like crap just because they're men. Don't care about their feelings just because they're men. That's very misandric. Do you understand? But are we being misogynist when we say that she needs to listen to us because we're men? What does that mean? Are you saying because you're stronger? Because we all know that just because you're strong doesn't mean you're correct. If that's the case, we might as well just fight for who runs this country. But that doesn't make any sense, right? Because just because you can fight or you can hurt people, you're the strongest person, does not mean you know how to govern people. You see what I'm saying? But anyway, let's move on.
Bring themselves to women.
Because you don't propose.
Let's see this again.
Like,
Look how he looks at her.
Well, why do you not think that men should prove themselves to?
Again is what?
My
Watch how
question
he looks,
is,
family.
why do you not feel like men, why do you not think that men should prove themselves to women?
Because you don't propose. We do.
Correct. Okay.
Again, when you propose, it's up to her to say yes or no. So if he says, I don't feel men got to prove themselves because they ask you to marry them. What? So if you ask someone to marry you, you don't got to prove yourself. So let's take these small times when a woman does ask a man to marry her, okay? Does she have to prove herself to him because she's the one who proposed? I'm trying to get your logic here. Let me continue.
I can see that.
Okay, let me ask you. Let me ask you. When you go for a job interview, is it on you to prove yourself worthy for the job, or is it for the company to sell you a position?
Both.
Okay, so she thinks that if she goes for a job interview where she needs a job and the company needs an employee, the company has to impress her. Here's reality. If you're not already impressed with the company, you wouldn't have applied for the job. That's why you applied for the job. You're impressed with the company. So now the company has to be impressed with you in order to give you the job. And if they're not impressed with you, they just move on to the next applicant.
What's paramount?
Okay, so let's just deal with this, okay? When you go to get a job, it's you proving yourself to the job, and they don't have to prove themselves to you at all. That's not true, family. Yes, you prove to that job that you are an adequate worker, that you deserve the position, that you are worthy of that position, but then they prove to you that they are a worthy company, okay? Here's how it works. You go, you interview because you're interested in the job, and you may actually be interested in the field, not necessarily the company, okay? So, especially if you've gone to college and you're looking to work in your field, you've probably put in several resumes with different companies because you're looking to start getting your experience in your field, correct? So let's just say a few people call you. They bring you in for an interview. You're there to listen to their background about the company, what they have available for you, all these things. During this negotiation process, you talk to them about your credentials and the things that you've earned in the past. Upon hearing this, they make you an offer. Here's the part where they're proving themselves to you, okay? They will use their medical plan. They will use their vacations. They will even start you off with more money, offer you an office, offer you a different position. And all of these things are based off of them truly wanting you to work for them because they realize you're an asset. That's simply how it is, family. So absolutely, both parties are involved in that negotiation process. And the thing is, men, we know this because we talk about how you're not going to get paid as much if you're very agreeable. If you are a person of high caliber to a company and you're very agreeable, they're going to give you what they would have paid any old guy, and you're going to accept it because you're going to be happy to have the job. But if you know your worth, this is when you're going to fight for leverage. You're going to say, wait a second, I have experience. I've done this, I've done that. I can be an asset in this way and in this way. When the company hears this, this is when they are going to say, okay, I'll pay you this, I'll give you this. Absolutely, it takes two, family. Now, if you don't know that, it's because you're probably very agreeable and you're just looking for a job and you take whatever they give you and whatever pay they give you, simply. But if you're not very agreeable, you know that you can earn more through what you say in that interview, and that interview is everything. That's why you go dressed to impress. You don't go tired, and you go with your confidence and your chest stuck out, knowing that you're about to conquer that place. That's how you walk in there, because you want them to feel that off of you, not think that off of you. You want them to feel that energy coming off of you. Do you understand? Let's continue.
You're impressed with the company. So now the company has to be impressed with you in order to give you the job. And if they're not impressed with you, they just move on to the next applicant.
What's paramount though?
What's paramount?
Yes, let's not play games, 33-year-old woman. Do you think it's more... Okay, so let me get this right. The way you're talking is what a top candidate would do. I said a job. A job.
So,
The way she's talking is what a top candidate would do. Listen, man, this is his scenario. He says when you go to a job, you apply for the job, you're interested in the job. They're not interested in you, so therefore they don't have to prove themselves to you. She goes, no, both parties have to prove themselves to each other. You're talking about a top applicant. Did she say she was talking about a top applicant? She never said that. This is any applicant. If you are an applicant, family, if you are impressive on that interview, you can change how that interview was going to go. They was going to pay you $13 an hour. You might get $13.50. You might get $14 an hour. Seriously, family. Negotiate in that negotiation process. That's when you determine what you're going to be paid in your position, things of that nature. I've been a hiring manager. I've seen people who had stellar resumes come in, and I offer them a totally different position than what I was even hiring for. I've even created positions for people just to hire them. And I've most certainly given people more money on the hour or more salary because they were worthy of it. And I saw them as an asset to my company. And I was an excellent store manager. Every store I ever worked at, I've always did good enough to get promoted to another store. Even been a regional manager before, all because of my capabilities of filling stores and finding staffs, of putting people in position, the right people in position. But you do it based on them. You don't just put people in place because you want people. You're looking for worthy people. Do you understand? So anyway, it's not about a top candidate. Do you understand? Each person is going to be proving themselves to you, period. It doesn't matter.
you don't feel like a woman is a top candidate?
Again, think. See, this is the problem. You ladies act like you have more leverage than you do.
I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
She accidentally said feel like again. And then he says, this is the problem. You ladies feel like you have more leverage than you do. What is leverage, family? Something that you bring to a negotiation to get power, right? To get balance, to get what you want. Women don't have leverage. We all have leverage, family. So she thinks she has leverage, but she don't. But she never said that. And these is what I call ad hominems. First, he asserted that let's not play games, kind of asserting that, of course, she is playing games when she isn't playing games at all. She's actually there for clarity. You understand? But doing these types of things makes the person that you're talking to less validated when you start to ad hominem them. And that's why people use ad hominems. People use ad hominems on Kevin Samuels. I would think that he wouldn't do it because he knows he doesn't like it when people does it to him, right? And it does nothing to debate his arguments. They'll say, who hurt him? Or somebody hurt him in the past. Or he's gay, he's soft, he's unattractive. The only reason women like him is because of these suits. The only reason women call them is because they need validation. And none of these things are actually debating his rhetoric, his actual points that he make. I would say to you guys, none of that's needed. attacking the person, which is what an ad hominem is. I'm going to attack the person instead of their data, instead of their stance. That's not right. And that's what he's doing to her. Put all that to the side and just talk about your points here. That's all. She didn't say that she believed women had all this leverage. She never said that. She just simply said, you don't think this, or she actually said feel. And then, of course, that's the problem. And he's changing the topic by saying, y'all think y'all already have leverage. Just watch.
You're talking is what a top candidate would do. I
Okay.
said a job. A job.
So you don't feel like a woman is a top candidate?
Again, think. See, this is the problem. You ladies act like you have.
You don't think a woman is a top candidate? Is that better for you? Because she said feel, you had a problem with it, and then you go, see, this is the problem. What's the problem?
More leverage than you do.
How did we get there? Do you understand? She simply asked him a question. Do you think or do you feel like women are top candidates? If you're dating her, I imagine she is. Even if you're pursuing her, she has to be one of your top candidates. You're pursuing her first. So you deemed her worthy of pursuing at least, right? And then as you dated her, you deemed her worthy of marriage, correct? Right. So if you deem her worthy of marriage, but still feel like you don't got to prove anything to her, you got to ask yourself, is she low value? Because if she's going to marry you simply because you have the provisions, she could have married anybody who had the provisions, and your character or none of that stuff matters. But you men are often saying, I don't want somebody who just want me for my money, right? So in her beginning statement, when she says, Kevin, your views is men have already built themselves up. Here's what happens. When us men build ourselves up, we're often plagued with this idea that the women who come into our lives now are only there for what we've built ourselves up to be and not who we really are. So yes, we want her to prove to us that you want us for more than our money. But if you say I don't got to prove anything to you because I make the money, then you are saying I want you to marry me for money. And if that's the case, and she does just marry you for money, then how high is her value if she would have just married? Because that means anybody could have married her. You're not special. Many men can get into your tax bracket. And you being good at work and being good in business to earn money shouldn't be adequate for earning a woman, because these are two totally different things. Business and a relationship is two totally different things. And a lot of times a man will think, because I make a lot of money, I don't have to perform in a relationship, but you do. And that's why y'all think it's so unfair. I say we because I once felt this way. I've been in relationships where I felt like I was giving my all, meaning work, provide, and protect. But you hardly have a home and things like that. And you wonder why the relationship is struggling and why she's still asking for stuff from you. You will come home and she'll say, well, you ain't took me out in a while. And you like, man, I've been at work all day, man. I'm tired. I don't want to hear about taking you out. But she's trying to voice to you an actual need. Whether or not you think that need is important, it's her need. And if you're going to be a responsible party in a relationship, you should care about her needs, even if you don't want to hear it. Okay, you come home from a long day's work. She's saying, hey, man, she's sitting around looking sad. You wanted to see her happy so she could be your peace, right? And then she says, I feel like we haven't went out in a while. We haven't went out in a couple of months, and I'd really like to go out and spend some time with you. And here you are getting upset about her wanting to spend time with you. You don't see how that's a problem? You're looking for a companion, not a pet. Let me continue.
I'm not saying that.
Yes, ma'am, you said a woman's a top candidate. I'm talking about women in general.
I said, do you not think that a woman is a top candidate?
That by the question you're asking is, do I think all women are top candidates?
Do you not feel that way?
No.
Do you feel like a woman can be a top candidate? And then he tells her what her question is. The question you're asking me is, do I feel like all women are top candidates? That's not what she asked him. And of course, all women are not top candidates. You're not even pursuing all women. Some women didn't even get your attention. And all men aren't top candidates either, right? Let's continue. I hate that she sort of agreed with him on here and let him shift her argument by strawmanning her, creating something that he can attack, a false stance, so he can attack the false stance rather than deal with her actual question. And that's what he did just now. He strawmanned her. He told her what her question is instead of what it was, and she fell for it. and re-asked him the question that he told her to ask her, and that way he could fight her straw man. Okay, the stance that she didn't call to take. That's not her stance at all, but he's gonna go in on this. Let's go.
Which then you do.
I'm not saying that. I'm
Yes,
saying,
ma'am, you said a woman's a top candidate. I'm talking about women in general.
I said, do you not think that a woman is a top candidate?
That by the question you're asking is, do I think all women are top candidates?
Do you not
No.
feel that way?
No.
That
Are you
way?
serious? Are you all tens?
Now, how delusional do you have to be to think that all women are top candidates? I know for a fact that all men are not top candidates. So how is a 33-year-old woman walking around thinking all women are top candidates? The delusion is unbelievable.
But is it delusion? Or did Kevin Samuel say, your question is this? And then she goes, but do you not feel that way? I mean, she's trying to keep up with him because he keeps shifting the conversation so much. That's not, I wouldn't say that's her delusion that all women are top candidates. She didn't actually say that. She did get tricked into asking him that question by saying, but do you not feel that way? You see? But she's not saying all women are top candidates. And that's not what she's saying. She says both should earn each other's affection and love, and both should prove to each other that they're worthy of a relationship and or marriage. She didn't say all women are top candidates and therefore all men must prove themselves to women. That's not what she said at all. Anyway.
Oh, but I'm still, okay, you're going to be a 10 in that guy's eyes. The man that
No, you're not. No, you're not.
Okay.
You said you were married?
Yes, I was married.
Before they get into it, she was married, but he said that she said she's going to be a 10 in that guy's eyes. I think what she's trying to say is, hey, that man's going to have eyes for you. He's going to think you're worthy of marriage. He's definitely going to think that you're beautiful. And why would he settle down with you if he didn't think that you were the best that he's came across? So yeah, a high score at least, right? I mean, maybe he doesn't think you're a 10 just in the looks department, where of course Kevin Samuels always asks these questions about your looks. Where do you see yourself on a scale from 1 to 10, and don't say 7? So maybe Kevin's thinking about that scale, but I'm going to say that that man is asking her to marry him because he sees her as a prize, as someone who is special, someone that he's willing to protect with his life and provide for with his actual life energy. You understand? So yeah, she's up there. I mean, who's to say 9, 10 and use these numbers to try to, satisfy that, but he definitely thinks that she's worthy of him giving his life to her, correct? So it doesn't matter the number, but I just wanted to put that out there on what I think she meant versus what Kevin Samuels' view of what she meant was, which is probably why he disagreed. But a man is not going to marry a woman unless he thinks that she's special, okay? The one, so to speak. So here we go.
And who filed for, and you're divorced now?
I did. We were
Filed
from
for divorce.
cultures.
Huh?
Here's what I did. I filed for divorce.
Why?
It's because we were from 2 different cultures. He was from Ghana and I was from here. And,
How long were you married?
for 6 years.
In 2 different cultures, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
He started resenting me after I did not want to have children until I was finished with school.
Ah, another one of those.
So he started resenting her.
Another one of those women. See, that's an ad hominem. No need to attack the person, just deal with what she said. She says we were from 2 different cultures. I wanted to pursue college, get my degree before having children. He began to resent me. Well, that can happen in relationships. When a man marries a woman, he typically wants her to put her agenda to the side and adopt his. So if he's saying, hey, I'm ready for children, and she's not, I can definitely see how that would make him upset. However, she says he resented her. And I don't know if you guys have ever been resented. Okay, maybe she loved him enough to marry him. She said she got married at 21. She was married for 6 years. So being married at 21, she likely didn't think all that through. As far as, am I going to want to have children before or after I get a degree, or will it even be a problem? Likely that wasn't discussed as young as she is. You understand? And even if it was, every person has a right to change their mind. It could have been him not proving himself to her in some way. So you got to think like this. She's going to be with you for your life. But here she is saying, wait a second, I want to get a degree first. What that's telling you is that, hey, she doesn't want her life to be stuck if she's not with you. She doesn't want to have a child before she gets a degree, and now she's stuck working 3 and 4 jobs to try to maintain the child and take care of the child because you decided to leave. Because in life, people do leave regardless of if they're married or not. Men divorce and women divorce. So if she's saying, hey, it make me feel more secure, safer for my life if I get my degree first, that's a conversation that her and her husband have to have. And from there, you can see where the cultural differences come into play. He may have felt like, based on his culture, that it ain't important for you to have a degree at all. Now, I know men in this culture say it's not important. We'll get into that. But there can be cultural differences that cause rifts in your relationship. And I can definitely see someone with a cultural indifference to start resenting you and treating you differently simply because you wanted to, work your job first. And the resentment can come from him wanting children, or just simply her agreeing to disagree and choosing her own path. And he could have looked at that mostly like it was disobeying him, which a lot of men have this mentality that they own their wives. You should do what I say, when they are a human being, family. Do you want your daughter to be married to a man like that, who she just got to shut up and do what he say? Or you negotiate what it is in life that you want to do, understanding that both people are sentient beings and worthy of validation to what they want and need in their life. If you're not thinking like that, you'll have an unbalanced relationship. Think what you want, but I'm trying to help you guys get to a harmonious relationship, okay? It's yin and yang. It is about give and take. It takes two to tango. We've got so many cliches that I could use right now that seems to satisfy my point, but I'll continue.
Because she didn't want to have children until she finished school. Shouldn't they have had that conversation before you got married about having children, when and how many? Or did they have that conversation? She agreed to having children, and then she started school and changed her mind and wanted to put it off until later. Take note here, she filed for divorce, not him.
Another one of these women that want to...
Again, family, if you've ever been resented by someone, this means they give you punitive treatment. And this can just happen. Like, you can wake up and everything be happy. You think they're happy, but they're not. They resent you. And this comes out in many different ways, family. Attitudes all the time. Him not showing the love. Him distancing himself, punishing her for not doing exactly what he wanted her to do. And you can see how this will make a person say, I don't want to be in a relationship if you're going to treat me that way, right? So let's not try to act like it's a strike against her for having asked for a divorce. If she was being mistreated, she should have asked for a divorce. You shouldn't be able to mistreat someone, and just because you're married, they stay with you. And if they leave you, then they also lose value for leaving you. And it wasn't an adequate relationship. That's wild. So now you can lose points for asking for a divorce? That's wild. She didn't cheat on him. She didn't string him along. She told him, I no longer want to be in this relationship. That you can respect. At least she told me. At least she didn't try to play me. I'm thankful that she told me. We can go our separate ways, because relationships, believe it or not, family, they don't always last the entirety of your life, okay? This is why we're having these conversations, because relationships do break down. Playing the blame game after they break down is just kind of ridiculous, especially in saying that means that she should have some permanent loss of value because she ended a relationship before. No, we need more information first before we can establish something like that, okay? She said he began to resent her, and it sounds like her saying we have cultural differences was her best way of trying to be nice and not bash the man behind his back, which actually speaks to her value. She's not speaking negatively about him. She's saying we had a difference in what we wanted in our life, and that's what caused the problem. That's what caused the rift. And then he started to resent me, and I divorced him, right? I asked for a divorce. Anyway, let's go.
Another one of these women that want to put their degree and their job and all that other stuff before life. Okay.
But I did say I do agree.
And see, here's the kicker, family. We tell men to put their degree, put them manifesting over a relationship and children, because they're going to be the providers, correct? And we're using this because we're comparing it to life, like the past. Well, women are now saying, hey, I work as well. And they've been in relationships where a lot of times they've been hurt, and due to that hurt, they've been traumatized. And so now they're trying to protect themselves by saying, hey, let me not be so dependent on someone else. Let me try to make a way for myself. And now so she meets this man who really likes her, and he's suggesting to her, because he really does care for her, that she should just be with him and not worry about all that stuff. But that's not going to be enough to settle her trauma, to make her feel secure in that relationship. Men, would you do that? If you met a woman who was rich and you were in college or you were working to some goal to better yourself, and she says, you don't got to worry about that. I got all the provisions you need. You should just stop that and be with me. I can guarantee you the first thing you're thinking is, number one, I'm not doing that as a man. And if I were doing it as a man, I can't trust that she always going to be there and provide for me. So I'm going to have something to fall back on. I ain't about to be out here just vulnerable Heck nah. I'm gonna get my degree, I'm gonna finish my goals, and we can still rock, but I ain't about to throw away what I'm doing just because I'm with you. Ain't that what we would say? But all of a sudden, she's wrong for doing that. That's crazy. If you want to go to school first, go to school first. That it's fine. If a guy or two doesn't want you because of that, that's fine too. The one that does want you for all of that, you're going to be happy. Don't get discouraged because these men don't take your credentials as something important. A man who really thinks about legacy and leaving an inheritance to his children's children, he would value that you do earn money, okay? And I do think there are ways around it, okay? If he's saying, I want you to be home and clean, well, you could hire a maid, just like we've all talked about. Well, cook. You can hire a chef and she can be out still winning, bread winning with you, and you guys can work together and become that power couple. You know, like we all have goals to go, we goal it. We say we want to have a power couple. And what we're talking about is both people getting money, both people got goals, both people are out here doing it, right? That's what we say. It's don't get me wrong, reality says that men don't generally care about resources or your credentials. But what I'm telling you is it's not out for you. If you have credentials and you have money and you've done all these things, you can find a man who will value that. And if he doesn't value that, you simply need to ask him, why don't you value that? Why don't you value a woman who has a good job, who has worked and made something of herself, who's bringing something to the table? Why don't you value that? Because we keep hearing you say, well, I don't value that. But why? Why don't you value that? If your goal is to leave an inheritance to your children, why wouldn't you value a woman who is bringing money to the table also? Why wouldn't you value that? I don't get it. If I was with a woman and she had a degree and made six figures and all this type of stuff, I could definitely work with a woman like that. Even if she says, but I'm not going to be home all the time. I will be at work. I got to do all of that. I understand that. And so that wouldn't rule her out for marriage with me. You see what I'm saying? I'd be more cared about. I would care more about, are you going to be home with the children while they are in those infant ages, or like, how are you going to do that? How would you be a parent? Because, you know, in one sense of it, we can hire a chef, we can hire a cook. I mean, that's the same thing. I mean, a person to clean and all that type of stuff. But as far as you being in the child's life, I specifically need that. And I'm just talking about me personally. I don't know how a lot of you guys feel about that. You might just say daycare centers or hiring a nanny, and all that is even just fine. And a lot of people do that today. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times if she's a single mother, she's rarely home and in her child's life physically. You understand? Because she has to provide. So these type of women, especially if they are a single mother, you can see that they find value in the things that they've been able to accomplish. And that would really suck that they would go through all of that just to meet a man who say, I don't value that. That's almost like you guys, us men, going out and conquering the world, becoming successful, earning that six-figure career. And then a woman saying, I don't care nothing about none of that. Wouldn't you be like, dang? But that would also be like, well, you should care about these things that I went to go earn. You should care about the fact that I have these things. I mean, I'm not going to care about the things that you have, but you should care about the stuff I have because it's practical. But what she needs is practical for her as well, okay? She can see the practicality of having a job, having a degree. Her having a degree doesn't actually mean that she'll work all those hours, but it does mean that she studied. And she can actually be a help to you, even if she doesn't go to work, because it proves that she can learn, that she's a capable brain. Do you understand? All right, let's continue.
I do regret it now, looking back on it, because I didn't have to work through my
So let me ask you, how long you been divorced?
Interrupts her
So you've been
again.
for 6 years.
Yes.
You've been divorced for 5 years. That's 11 years total. So that means you got off the dating scene at around 21 or 22.
Yes.
All right. So in the last 5 years, how many proposals have you fielded from value?
None.
So she's been divorced for 5 years. She got the degree that she wanted, but she hasn't been proposed to in 5 years since she's been divorced. But she thinks men have to prove themselves to her because she's such a hot commodity.
Okay. The fact that a man has not proposed to her is no indication whatsoever that the man who does propose to her doesn't have to prove anything. Do you understand? So simply because no one's proposed to her, that doesn't mean that the man who does propose to her doesn't have to prove himself. I don't get it, guys. There are women who have never been proposed to before they actually get proposed to, and they're still left with the answer yes or no to solidify that engagement. And it's based on them saying yes or no. And that yes or no is based on that man proving himself. Do you understand? So no one's proposed to you in 5 years. This must mean that we're right and men don't have to prove themselves to you. You should just marry the first man who comes along with enough money. Why even date or court you? Because he don't got to prove nothing. You should be ready to get married on the spot. I don't even see why you own the gateway to sex. I make enough money. You should just go ahead and sleep with me and marry me and all that stuff. Why? I only got to prove myself to you for sex, not marriage. What? Let's continue.
Now, this would make complete sense if she had a bunch of guys asking her out on dates and proposing to her. But that's not what's happening here. Now, here's...
That would be irrelevant if a bunch of guys was asking her to, was proposing to her. Whether it's 0 guys or 20 guys, the guy who proposes to her would have to prove to her that he is a worthy man for marriage. Period. Why don't you guys get that? I mean, you want someone to spend the rest of their life with you. You don't think you should be worthy of that? There's nothing that you should do other than provide to be worthy for her spending her life with you. She ain't with you at work. She's with you. She's going to have a child with you. Y'all going to raise children together. Actually be a companion to one another. Love on each other. Converse with each other. You don't think you got to prove anything? Because of what? What reasons? Because you make enough money. So you just got to prove to your boss that you ready for marriage. That's unreal.
But Kevin is going to give her a dose of serious reality.
Here you go. Because your value is lower. You had a man, you left him for a ridiculous reason. And are you honestly thinking at 33, a productive, competitive, successful, a man of the caliber who's a married man has to come prove something to you at 33?
I feel like I bring something to the table. He brings something to the table.
No. But see, the thing is, ma'am, and what you need to pay real close attention. You're still talking like you have leverage. You bring something to the table, and so do the other 20 women that want that.
Correct.
And this is the part women like her can't seem to get through their thick skull. There is nothing authentic about her. She's doing what most modern women are doing. Going to school, getting an education, and earning 6 figures. But along the way, they lose the true value a man really wants in a woman. And that's being a wife and a mother to his children, not a corporate woman.
All right, so if there were many men lined up to court her, all of a sudden, this would prove that she has value, right? According to Kevin Samuels, right? You have low value, right? So you think at 33, a man gonna come up to you to try to prove himself to you when he got many women trying to get with him? Are you saying that many men aren't trying to ask her out? I mean, let me get this straight. So she shouldn't ask for that man to prove anything to her because he has other women chasing him? So now, because a lot of women like him, she shouldn't require any proof for him. I guess she should just take the fact that other women like him as the proof that she should marry him, right? And now let's just go get married because you got a lot of women that like you. That's how many women that likes him is irrelevant. If someone's going to spend their life with you, you should prove to them why you're worthy of it. Very simple, family. If she had 20 guys chasing her, it wouldn't mean that she ain't got to prove herself to the guy that she likes. The one that she likes, she needs to prove to him that she is worthy of marriage the same. The one you want, you got to prove to them too. The one you're with is the one you got to prove to. Seriously. Let's continue.
Women who talk like you die alone.
Wow.
I'm dead serious because you've already proved that you're selfish and will choose a degree over a husband and blame it on cultural reasons. That wasn't culture, that was selfishness. And if you want to come talking about, well, I feel...
She said that he began to resent her because she chose to continue to pursue her degree before having children. She didn't choose a degree over her husband. he began to treat her with resentment because she didn't have the child versus going to school. Now, he's telling her she done that for dumb reasons and that she's selfish and that she has no value because of it. Come on, y'all. This is an ad hominem. All she said was both parties have to prove to each other their worth. He has a problem with that, so now she's selfish. She left her last marriage for ridiculous reasons, and so now this inherently lowers her value, and so now you just got to be with whoever wants you. Don't ask them to prove nothing to you. This is your life. She has 0 children, okay? She's 33, and now he's telling her your life's over because you divorced a man 5 years ago over a degree, or over him resenting you, and the actual argument was over a degree, and now you're saying it's cultural when that's bull crap. Nothing she says is going to be validated, and they're just going to assert what they feel about her. Now she's selfish. You see, and now she's the type of woman to die alone because of something she said. And the something that she said was, both parties have to prove to each other their worth. That's crazy.
Like he brings this, and I feel like I bring that. That may be true, man. But you're not competing with this man. You're competing with all the other women who want that man.
Now, I want to put a disclaimer in here for myself.
If you're competing with all the other women who want that man, the moment that he asks you to marry him, the reason you're competing with all those women to get with that man is because he's obviously proven something to you, correct? He's proven to you that that's the man that you want. So he has already proven himself to you, or he's still working on proving himself to you, regardless of how many other women like that man. The idea that you have all these women so you don't have to prove yourself to none of these women is ridiculous, family. The one that you want to marry, you have to prove to her that you're worthy of marriage. It's really simple. I feel like I keep having to repeat this simple phrase because it's like they're not accepting it.
And for Kevin Samuels, because I heard him say it before, and I've been saying it over and over again. Ladies, if you want to get your degree and earn 6 figures, that's completely up to you. None of us men are telling you that you shouldn't do it. But what we are saying is there can be consequences. And that consequence could be that you never get married. Simply because men are not looking for 6-figure earning, high-educated corporate women for wives. Now, it would be nice if a woman could balance the two, being a corporate woman and being a wife. But very few women are able to pull it off.
Now, Raul, that you just said should have been all that was said. In fact, you said the most powerful thing out of both you and Kevin Samuels right here. In reality, if you go get that degree, it might prove harder for you to get a husband because most men don't care about your degree. And that's just the simple facts. It'd be good if you could balance having that degree with life, but just know that the amount of men who would be suitors for you might dwindle down due to you taking the time to go get your degree and all that type of stuff. That's not saying that it's wrong for you to go out and pursue your degree. That's absolutely fine. But what he is doing is painting for you the reality of what awaits you. That's going to open up opportunities for you getting a great job, a great career, likely, okay, if you get that degree. But often, more times than not, that degree doesn't even mean that you'll have a better opportunity for getting a job or career in that field, which we've seen in college anyway. But what he is saying to you is something that is in reality. Love your channel, by the way, too, Raul. But that sentence you just stated, that was correct and needed, okay? We're talking about reality. It's not wrong if you get the degree, but just know that men won't value you as much, or men won't pursue you as much because they're not interested in the degree. Just know the degree likely won't do anything for you earning a husband. And that's factual. In fact, it may counteract that. It may be a negative to that. You understand? It may be counterproductive to finding a husband because most husbands don't look for that. They look to be the sole providers. Cool. That's all you needed to say. No ad hominems needed. Do you understand? That's all, family. I'll continue to do this. I really want to start breaking down the logic that all of us are using because I can see that men and women are just going at it with each other. We can't seem to get along. And it seems like we're not really listening to each other to respond adequately or listening to each other to fully understand each other. It's like we just want to be heard, but we're not willing to listen to what they're saying. And I think if we did that, we could find level ground, okay? We could negotiate a healthy relationship if we just talk it out. But you don't have to listen to me and do what I say solely because I'm a man. I don't have to listen to you and do what you say solely because you're a woman. It should be based on logic and principles, family, and values. That's what it should be based on. I'm going to hit play one more time before I end the video, just to make sure I'm not cutting it off before I'm ready.
Are you saying today you can outcompete women for the kind of man you say you want?
I never said that I wanted a six-figure man.
I never said that. Where did I say any of that?
But
I said I was very clear. I said, are you
See how Kevin doesn't allow her to change his question? He says, I was very clear, okay? And he's going to repeat his question exactly. Watch.
saying that? Are you trying to say that you can outcompete women for the kind of man you want?
And that's what he said. Are you saying that you could outcompete or compete with women to get the kind of man you want? Are you saying that you can compete with other women to get the type of man you want? And I think her response should be, yeah. If she feels like she's valuable and she brings something to the table, just like she said, then yes, she feels like she can compete with other women to get the type of man that she wants, right? Well, let's see what she says.
I believe so.
So she feels she can compete, but she's doing just about what every other woman is doing and thinking the same way they think. She went to school and got a degree and is making six figures. That puts her right in the group with all the rest of them. There's nothing different about her, especially when you're talking about wife material.
Now imagine he says, imagine the question is different. And he asked a man, do you think you can compete with other men to get the woman that you want? And she goes, yeah, I do. And the woman says, what separates you from all the other men? Because that's all the same things other men are talking about, protecting and provisions. That's all y'all talk about. You just the same as them. So why should I choose you? Right? Because there are going to be some other attributes. Simply put, right? You're going to care about her character. You're going to care about her attributes. You're going to care about her temperament, her ability to take care of a home, her ability to raise children. You understand her past, what her parents were like, her traumas. And you're going to consider all those things also about a man, even if he has provisions and he's saying he can protect you, correct? And it's not about competing with women to get a man. You are negotiating with that man and showing the man that you want, that you can be an adequate wife for him. You ain't even got to consider those women. And men, if you're trying to get with a woman, you don't got to consider all the men who's trying to get with her too. You just be the man for her. You prove to her that you're going to be the man for her if that's the woman that you want. But you're not competing with men to get the woman that you want. Do you understand? You're competing with yourself. Be better every day, and you will finally vibrate to a level that brings the person that you want to you. And that's all you're doing, ladies. You're competing with yourself every day, being the most feminine you can be, being the best listener you can be, the best supporter that you can be, the best healer that you can be, okay? So when your man comes along, you will be adequate and sufficient for him. Simply put, you don't have to worry about all these other women that's chasing him. A lot of times that's where y'all lose it, is worrying about all these other women. So you start to project onto the man, angry at him because he has all those other women. And likely it's because, you see the competition has been a little bit too thick and you rather it dwindle out so you don't have much competition, because most people aren't really trying to be accountable to earning the person that they love. As you can hear this, they always say women are not accountable to earning their man, but according to this, neither are men. From their views are that they are not going to be accountable to earning her love and earning her hand in marriage. He's already proven that to her by simply making enough money. That's crazy when we know that making enough money does not equal high values. A lot of men who make good money, they still cheat, they still use you, they still misspend the money, they still are caught up in domestic violence cases, they still have very low emotional intelligence. So that doesn't mean that they'll be an adequate father. It's great money earners who can turn out to be horrible fathers. And a woman should want a family man, not just a high earner. Do you understand? Because that's what she's planning to have for him, as a family. Why would she want a broken home and the man still in the house? That's the worst type of home. He's still there, but still don't put no time into the kid's life. As soon as he come home from work making all that money, he goes straight to the room and don't deal with his kids at all. In fact, when his kids call his name, it's what? Like he got an attitude. Don't I pay these bills? Kids want him to tell them they love him. And he won't even tell them he love them. Don't I pay the bills? Don't I do what I'm supposed to do? Well, then that should be good enough. Dang, yo. Have a heart.
Remember, she put her degree before having a family, which is the reason she's divorced. And that's what most modern women do, which is okay to do, ladies, but remember what I said. It can come with consequences. And now, get ready for the contradiction.
Okay, so what state are you in?
I'm in Arkansas.
Do you want any children?
I do.
How many would you like to have?
At least 2.
All right. How much would you think a man would need to earn in Arkansas to provide for a wife and 2 children?
Probably like 120.
But you just said you didn't need a 6-figure man.
Hey,
That's what you just said.
What?
Oh, no. That's what you said. No, ma'am. That's what you said.
She did say that she didn't need a 6-figure man, and she still didn't say that she did need one. You asked her how much money should a man make in Arkansas to provide for a wife and 2 children, and she simply answered your question, 120. If the man was going to provide for his wife and children. However, she's went to school and she has a degree and she has a job. So she's likely not saying he has to make that because, again, she keeps saying, I bring something to the table. So you asked her a question, and the answer to that question does not mean that now she wants a 6-figure man. It means she answered your question on what a man would need to provide for his 2 children and a wife. In her mind, she's likely thinking that's pending the wife is being cared for, not actually bringing money to the table. See? She didn't say anything wrong there. In fact, this is a good teaching moment for Kevin Samuels. He could say, okay, so you were saying that you didn't need a 6-figure man, but just based on what you're saying, you do see that regardless of your preference, that's likely what you would need if you're going to have a harmonic relationship, an adequate relationship where you have all your provisions met, all your needs met in Arkansas, correct? And then that's when she can respond back with, oh, okay, never thought about it that way. Okay, so I guess I do need a 6-figure man. Or, no, I was just answering your question. I'm going to bring it to the table myself. What if she already makes 6 figures? You see what I'm saying?
Now, did she really say, I never said I wanted a 6-figure man?
I never said that I wanted a 6-figure man.
Yep, she said, I never said I wanted a 6-figure man. But now she's saying, yeah.
It's just straw manning. Ha. See, she said she never wanted that. And now she's saying that it takes $120,000 to raise 2 children and take care of a wife in Arkansas. See how that's a hypocritical collide? See how that she ain't lining up? No, not at all. I see how you're trying to trip her up. You see what I'm saying? Like, just deal with the content.
To make at least $120,000 a year. Now, I'm not the brightest bulb in the pack, but isn't $120,000 a year 6 figures? And this woman went to college.
This is where it starts to go off the rails. How tall are you?
I'm 5'7".
Dress size?
All right, family. So now they're getting into what she looks like and things of that nature, which proves that they care more about her just being able to cook and submit. They care about how she looks and things of that nature too. And just like, again, outside of his protection and his provisions, there are things that she wants extra in the relationship too, because she's looking for a companion, okay? Not a means to an end. You understand? So just keep these things in mind, family. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Before you guys comment and say that I'm trying to come after Kevin Samuels, ruin his name, or build myself up off Kevin Samuels, let me remind you guys that all of those are ad hominems. And what you should do is refute my rhetoric, challenge my points. Don't try to assert that I have a problem with Kevin Samuels, because I do not. I do not have a problem with Raul. I actually like his channel a lot more than I do Kevin Samuels. Do you understand? So I have no problem with these brothers. I just wanted to give my opinion in comparison to theirs on that topic. All right, family? I'm trying to help all of y'all out so y'all can find love. Not just find a person, not a robot, but actually have someone who you're happy with, who you enjoy being with. Too many times I hear in the red pill community where you guys be like, don't smile in front of her. Don't laugh in front of her. Don't treat her nice. Don't tell her how you feel about her. When I'm telling you guys, that's part of the 3 Ps. You can't protect and provide and then ixnay on profess or prove. You got to do those things too, because she wants to be with you and she wants you to want to be with her. And the way that you prove that to her is by your acts of romance. You showing her that she's special to you. You're gonna have to do that. And if you have a problem with doing that, fellas, I might have to have you consider that you may be emasculated, because masculinity loves on women. Masculinity makes a woman feel special. His woman, not every woman in the world. Not women before they earn it. Not women just cause they pretty. But his wife, she's earned that. She's earned that. You understand? She's your wife. You chose her because she was a worthy woman, right? then love her. Simple. All right, family, be evolution, be the change that you want to see. No candle loses its flame from lighting another. And if you were to ever find yourself in the middle of chaos, believe me, it's in that chaos that you find yourself. Peace.